Japan, the year is 1867. For over 2 centuries, this island nation has stood apart from the world, isolated, disciplined, and proud. Behind its barriers of Sakoku, the closed country, the shoguns of the Tokugawa family ruled in peace and order, while the emperor in Kyoto remained a distant, almost sacred figure, revered but powerless. But now the tides of change are reaching Japan's shores. The black ships of the West, steam-powered and bristling with cannon, have shattered isolation. Trade, technology, and ideas of a different world are pressing upon a society built upon feudal tradition. To the samurai, the merchants, and the farmers alike, it is as if the very order of heaven and earth is shifting. The old Tokugawa regime is wavering, and in the midst of uncertainty, one question grips the nation: who will guide Japan into the modern age? In the spring of 1867, Tokugawa Yoshinobu, the 15th shogun, surveys his realm with a heavy heart. He is intelligent, cautious, and reform-minded, yet he stands atop an ancient system that is beginning to crumble. The power of the Tokugawa shogunate has kept peace for more than 250 years. But that peace was built on balance, a hierarchy now out of step with the world beyond. Foreign powers have pried open Japan's ports. British merchants occupy Yokohama, Americans trade in Nagasaki, and the French send military advisors to Edo. Each seeks influence, and each aligns with rival Japanese factions, some favoring modernization, others demanding resistance. Yoshinobu understands that Japan must change to survive. He reorganizes the government, modernizes the army, and builds a small navy of steamships. Yet opposition grows. From the south, in the powerful domains of Satsuma and Chōshū, where ambitious samurai dream not of reforming the shogunate, but of ending it, they rally behind a single potent slogan: Sono Joi, revere the emperor, expel the barbarians. But soon, even that slogan begins to shift. For these leaders know the barbarians cannot be expelled. Instead, Japan must learn from them. The true enemy, they now believe, is not the foreigner. It is the shogun who clings to the past. In early 1867, Emperor Komei, a ruler cautious yet curious of foreign influence, falls ill and dies suddenly at the age of 35. His death shocks the court and the country. Some whisper of poison, others of divine punishment, but no proof is ever found. His son, only 15 years old, ascends the chrysanthemum throne. His name, Mutsuhito. Few yet realize that under his reign, Japan will be transformed beyond imagination. The court nobles in Kyoto, long sidelined by the shogunate, see in the young emperor a symbol of renewal. They form secret councils with the rebellious domains of Satsuma and Chōshū, plotting to restore imperial authority. And so, while Yoshinobu still holds the title of shogun, the court moves quietly to reclaim power that has lain dormant for centuries. By the autumn of 1867, the movement gathers force. November 9th, 1867. In a moment that will echo through history, Tokugawa Yoshinobu formally returns his governing authority to the emperor. The act is known as Taisei Hokan, the restoration of imperial rule. It is a gesture of compromise, perhaps even wisdom. Yoshinobu believes that by voluntarily yielding power, he might preserve the Tokugawa as part of a new shared government under imperial leadership. But for the radicals in Kyoto, this is not enough. They seek not a coalition, but a revolution. In the following weeks, tension rises. The imperial court, now under the influence of Satsuma and Chōshū samurai, declares the shogunate abolished. A new government is proclaimed, one that speaks in the name of the emperor alone. When the decree reaches Edo, Yoshinobu feels betrayed. His resignation, meant to prevent civil war, has instead been twisted into a total dismantling of his family's rule. The fragile balance collapses. The age of peace is over. January 1868. At dawn on the third day of the new year, imperial forces clash with shogunate troops near Kyoto. The battle will be remembered as Toba Fushimi, the opening act of the Boshin War. It is a conflict of generations, samurai in lacquered armor and banners of old against soldiers bearing rifles and artillery forged in modern foundries. Yoshinobu's army, larger and better equipped, should have prevailed. But confusion reigns. Some Tokugawa allies defect to the imperial cause, raising the emperor's golden chrysanthemum banner in the midst of battle. Seeing it, many of Yoshinobu's men falter. To fight against the emperor is unthinkable. By nightfall, the shogun's forces are in retreat. Yoshinobu flees Kyoto for Edo, his authority broken. The Meiji Restoration, though not yet named as such, is now unstoppable. Spring, 1868. Edo, once the proud seat of Tokugawa power, stands on the brink. The imperial army marches eastward, victory banners fluttering. But amidst the smoke and fear, a remarkable act of diplomacy unfolds. The man who leads the imperial army is Saigo Takamori, the Lion of Satsuma, a samurai warrior famed for courage and integrity. The defense of Edo falls to Katsu Kaishu, a Tokugawa naval officer who understands the cost of war. Rather than shed more blood, Katsu proposes surrender. In quiet talks beneath blooming cherry trees, Saigo and Katsu agree to spare the city. On May 3rd, Edo Castle, the largest fortress in Japan, is peacefully handed over to the emperor's forces. No looting, no massacre. The capital of the old regime becomes the cradle of the new. Soon after, Edo is renamed Tokyo, Eastern Capital. The young emperor will soon make it his home. Yet not all Japan accepts the change. In the northern domains, loyalists to the Tokugawa refuse to bow. They gather in Aizu, Sendai, and Hakodate, forging a short-lived alliance known as the Northern Coalition. Their dream: to defend the samurai order, to resist the tide of reform. By autumn 1868, the imperial army marches north. At Aizu, fierce fighting rages. Samurai women take up arms beside their husbands. Teenage warriors fight to the death. The old spirit of the warrior class burns its brightest and its last. When Aizu falls, the remnants of the Tokugawa navy sail to Hokkaido under Admiral Enomoto Takeaki, establishing the Republic of Ezo, Japan's first and only attempt at a republic. Its capital, Hakodate, becomes the final battleground of the Boshin War. Winter, 1869. Snow falls over the northern seas. The guns of the Imperial Navy thunder against the rebel stronghold of Hakodate. For the first time, Japan witnesses a modern naval battle, ironclads and steamships dueling under rising smoke. Enomoto fights valiantly, flying a new flag, blue, white, and red, a symbol of hope for an independent Ezo. But his dream is short-lived. Outnumbered and outgunned, the Republic collapses after the fall of Goryokaku Fort in May 1869. With Enomoto's surrender, the last resistance to imperial rule ends. The war that began with the clash of samurai banners now concludes under the shadow of cannon fire and steam. Later that year, the young Emperor Mutsuhito leaves Kyoto and journeys to his new capital, Tokyo. His procession, lined with banners of the chrysanthemum, passes through crowds that bow in awe. For centuries, no emperor had ruled Japan directly. Now, a new age begins. In the following months, the emperor issues a rescript declaring the goal of his government: to enrich the country, to strengthen the army, to seek knowledge throughout the world. The world will come to know him by a new name: Meiji, the enlightened rule. The fall of the Tokugawa shogunate marks the end of the samurai age. Feudal domains are reorganized, the class system begins to dissolve, and Western learning becomes the key to survival. Yet even amid the sweeping reforms, a sense of melancholy lingers. For many who lived through these years, the restoration was not merely political. It was personal. Old loyalties were tested. Brothers fought brothers. The sword of the samurai, once the soul of Japan, would soon be replaced by rifles, factories, and railways. But out of that struggle emerged something enduring, a new sense of nationhood. By 1869, Japan stands at the threshold of a new era. The emperor reigns once more, not as a figure of myth, but as the symbol of a united state. The shogunate has vanished into history. In the decades that follow, Japan transforms with astonishing speed. Samurai become soldiers, farmers become factory workers, and the once feudal archipelago becomes a modern industrial power. Railways stretch across the islands, telegraph lines hum with messages, and students sail to Europe and America to study science, law, and engineering. In only a generation, Japan will rise to stand among the world's great nations. Yet the memory of those turbulent years, 1867 to 1869, remains the turning point. A moment when a country, long divided between old and new, chose its future. A time when the swords of the samurai gave way to the pens of reformers, when the rule of the shogun yielded to the will of the emperor, and when the winds of modernity, blowing in from distant seas, carried Japan, forever changed, into the dawn of the modern world. We're glad you watched. Subscribe today and join our growing community of history enthusiasts.